This is called Impressions of a Tonal Landscape.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy talking to people when they come in about the content of this. Because in reality, Con, if you can step in here, you can see the track. You see the track going up the mountain? Can you see the track going?
I can see a track.
And, you know, along here, that's the railway line, up to Gosford. Right? That's the railway line going up to Gosford on Brisbane Waters. Yeah, and a few little villages around the thing there. It's been a stormy night. And then I was just standing here the other day telling this complete and utter lie or telling or making up this story. Yeah. When this gentleman looked at me very skeptically and went, "So what is this?
What is this?
What is this?"
What is that?
And I hadn't seen that before. And I stepped back and I was trying to think what it was. And he answered it. It's rain, storm.
Is that
He bought
You
into
already
it.
brought that in. That's amazing.
And so when we step back and look at it and I tell people what it is, they can't believe it. They can only see it the way I've described it.
Well,
So what's going on there?
It's a really important question because because it's an abstract work, it's making our brain think about all the other memories we have about a landscape. I mean, to me, when I'm standing here, I see bushfires, I see trees, and I see more of a naturalistic sort of landscape to my eye. But that's sort of feeding into sort of my ideas and my ideas of my past memories, and it's really getting our visual system to force meaning. I mean, that's what its job is there to do. Our visual system is breaking all this down to colour, movement, and just like you're saying with rain here, it's seeing the movement there. And so our brain is saying, well, there's some movement there, it has to be something like rain or a cloud or a mist, and then we're suddenly putting that meaning into it and making it real. And once we put the meaning, it's real. That to us is an actual image of that event.
I find that really fascinating, and the reason why I find it fascinating because this is a real photograph. This is not manufactured anymore.
No.
There's no Photoshop there. That's a moment in time that was captured cinema verite. Cinema verite. But you know, it's creating an illusion.
Correct, and I think it is. It's creating an illusion for the person viewing the actual artwork, but it's feeding into the meaning.
I'm really interested in when the mind sets that this is not a hut, whatever it is, that in actual fact is a landscape. Will the mind change?
Yeah, that's a really good, very good question. Perception, just like one of those optical illusions where you're forced to see a classic rabbit or a goose or a human face or a landscape image, you can only really see one of those events at one time. Your brain can only accept one. So once you break the illusion and you suddenly realize, oh, it is a whole, which is quite spectacular, but it is a whole, suddenly you're sort of having to accept that. But I think the beauty of this is not just a classic optical illusion where it can only be one or the other. It's allowing you to accept both, or accept multiple meanings, rather than one or the other.
So from purely a medical perspective, people with different sorts of eye conditions, would they view this in a different sort of way?
They would view it very different ways.
Okay,
because different medical conditions will affect different pathways of our vision. And some people, for instance, macular degeneration, lose the central part of vision, so they're unable to see that central detail, but can get that peripheral impression. Someone like keratoconus, which you're very familiar with, Ralph, they're seeing things in a much more distorted manner. And so they're having to analyze a much more distorted image. And then often they really have to find techniques or actually high order processing to get the original image clear, or then find meaning. So they're sort of doing a lot of high order processing to do that.
It's very kind of you to say that, Con.
They
I'm
are.
doing
That's right, yeah.
high order processing.